One of the things that is very topical at the moment, and I have got to ask you about it, are the way that our police officers deal with the Stop Oil protesters. Recently we see that there are emergency vehicles can't get through. They're just sat there. Members of the public are taking it in their own hands to try and drag them off the streets, which could be dangerous for everybody concerned, but I quite frankly don't blame them. I think I'd be tempted to remove them. And even stories of police officers giving these people sat in the middle of the road cups of tea. Now, I personally think that's appalling. I know a lot of Londoners think it's appalling. Can you tell us the thought behind that and why we are not going to remove them from the streets where they're obstructing immediately?
Yeah, I haven't seen the cups of tea point, and I hope we haven't been doing that because I don't think we should be. I agree with you. That's not our responsibility. This has been a really difficult operation over the 11 days so far, and frankly, it annoys me how much it's taking away from policing local communities. In 11 days, we have put 2,156 officer days into doing this. So that's a sort of couple of hundred per day, roughly. That's an enormous amount of policing resources that aren't tackling issues that matter to local communities, aren't dealing with knife crime, aren't dealing with violence against women and girls. We've made 338 arrests. The majority are just Stop Oil and a handful are animal rebellion. And that's the scale of the operation. I'm frustrated that we haven't done better for London, but the team are working incredibly hard at this. There's a critical legal threshold, and of course Parliament decides what's the balance between lawful protest and sort of unreasonable impact on society. And there are various legal criteria for our intervention. Some of them are about fear of violence and things which don't apply in this sort of situation. The critical one in this context is the concept of serious disruption to the life of the community, I think is the phrase in the law. And so to assess whether these protests are causing that serious disruption, and I know there's lots of sort of media and commentary which suggests there might be, multiple times a day we're taking a view from TfL, relevant local councils, so in most cases on this one I imagine Westminster, and other partners like emergency services, to look at are these protests, are they currently or are they heading towards causing serious disruption to the life of the community? And over the last 11 days, all of those partners have been of the view that it doesn't cause serious disruption. Now, I know there'll be people here who have a different view, but in terms of...
I'm one. Yeah.
Oh, exactly, yeah, and I can understand that. But if my officers are to make legal intervention, they need to stand it on some evidence that that is reasonable. And frustratingly, that's the situation we're in. And that's not a criticism of those partners' views. They've got those perspectives as council and as transport officials. But that's what we're looking to stand on. As soon as they feel, or if it was hitting a business district, if the businesses feel, as soon as we have evidence of that serious disruption either being crossed as a line or a good prospect of it being crossed, then we'll start to be more assertive with our powers.
But surely gridlocks of the road where emergency vehicles can't get through, that is disruption, and that is disruption of the worst kind. If somebody can't get to a hospital in an ambulance, if a fire engine can't get through to a fire, surely that's disruption. What happens if one of your vehicles needs to get to a police officer who's in serious trouble and you need to get people to assist him? What happens then? Would you regard it then as blocking the roads as a hindrance or going over that level that you have to? Because most of the public, it's bad enough they can't get to work. It is shocking when people can't get emergency vehicles to where they need to be. And that's what happens when you gridlock the road system.
I agree with a lot of your sentiment, but the scale of gridlock created depending on the road that's blocked, the law is very clear that just blocking a road in itself isn't automatically serious disruption. And whilst it's committing some offences in terms of in terms of obstruction of the highway, those aren't prosecutable if it's a lawful protest, as long as it doesn't exceed reasonable bounds. And that's the judgments police officers have to make the whole time. And as I said at the start, the fact that I've been sort of putting 200 officers a day into policing this, I don't welcome that. That's not good for London's communities, frankly.
No, it isn't.
But I have to work within the legal framework, and I would love to be able to close these down more quickly and spend less policing resources on it at the moment. And I say, as soon as the partners who have the expertise to assess the impact on the road network and the emergency services, as soon as they say this is heading towards crossing the line, we'll be in there straight away. But until that point, I don't have a legal power to do that, and
Okay.
I can't criticise my officers for not doing it.
So TfL is, if we have a word with the Mayor then, because he is the chairman of TfL, and try and get it moved in a different way. I understand your problem. I also understand that lots of Londoners are sick to death.
I can see that in the papers. And so, I'm not criticising TfL. They have a lot of data.
Neither am I. I'm
machinery.
saying let's look at a broader way that we can get the police some assistance so that you can go in and remove these people. Because when emergency vehicles can't get through, something's got to be done. So if you're saying that TfL, etc., you're talking to them, we'll bring it up with the Mayor because he is their chairman. And I understand your issues. I know other
Thank you, Susan.
colleagues will want to ask about this.